Ladies and gentlemen, in 2008, President Obama's campaign was fined $375,000 by the FEC it was one of the largest fees ever levied against a presidential campaign, according to Politico. Okay, this doesn't have anything directly to do with the Fuji's founder, Pras Michel's trial. Leonardo DiCaprio testifies at Fuji's rapper Pras Michel's trial. That was about an influence campaign, a foreign influence campaign, via a donor of President Obama's campaign, who wanted at that point to give $30 million to the Democratic Party. That's according to Reuters and CBS News. Actor Leonardo DiCaprio told a Washington jury on Monday that a Malaysian financier revealed his plans to donate up to $30 million to help U.S. President Barack Obama's 2012 campaign in what prosecutors allege was a part of an illegal foreign influence operation. DiCaprio said somewhere to the tune of $20 to $30 million. Okay, so you have massive corruption within the Democratic Party. You have Hillary and the DNC, Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC, and I think Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee. I think we have never moved on from 2016. But here, this is Politico. The article will be below. Obama campaign fined $375,000. I believe it was the largest fee. I think Politico is being kind by saying, well, it was one of the largest fines. It was the largest fine ever. If you type in, let's see, Obama largest fine. So Obama had to pay $375,000 for omitting some donors' names in 2008. Gee, I wonder why they omitted some of the names. And so, if it wasn't the largest, it was one of the largest here. And then you have Snopes. This is really hilarious. FEC violations compared. Obama 2008 to Trump 2016. Trump wasn't even fined. So what does Snopes even tell? What is this? Let's see what they say here. Obama's civil FEC infractions, while they resulted in a large fine, are legally distinct from what Cohen pled guilty to. Cohen could have pled guilty to anything. That's completely, it's completely irrelevant to what Cohen pled guilty to because he's a convicted felon who lied to Congress and lied through his attorneys in a written statement saying none of what he did was a campaign finance violation, which is the intentional commission of felonies intended to affect. Okay, so this is complete nonsense, but the cognitive dissonance I just wanted to read here really quickly. So you have $375,000 in 2008 as a fine of President Obama's campaign, and then you have a foreign influence campaign in 2012 where $30 million was funneled through, or perhaps the middleman could have been, or he's on trial now. The musical artist is on trial now for possibly being part of a money laundering scheme to funnel $30 million into the Democratic Party, to influence the Democratic Party. Gee, where have we seen that? Oh yeah, Hunter, Hillary, Bill, their foundation, Hunter, his laptop. Gee, where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, it happens all the time. With Trump, you have to there's no crime he committed other than the outlandish crimes that Cohen pled guilty to that have nothing to do with Trump. The indictment in New York didn't even list an FEC crime because there wasn't one. Hit subscribe to this channel right now to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. Go to hagoodman.com and become part of a newsletter there. Ladies and gentlemen, to my Patreon, thank you. To my super thanks, that's below next to the like and the share buttons. And so it's really interesting. It's like you have, according to the Justice Department, the financier allegedly misappropriated over $500 million from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Malaysia Development, with wire transfers to shell companies he and others owned. And some of the proceeds were used for the production of DiCaprios' hit film, The Wolf of Wall Street. Isn't that's interesting? Okay. Speaking slowly and deliberately, the Hollywood star said he first met the financier in 2010 at a Las Vegas birthday party. He had been invited by a mutual friend. This person said was known for lavish parties where celebrities, actors, and notables flocked from across the country. He characterized the financier, who was on the run and faces charges in multiple countries, as a prodigy in the business world, and recalled that he asked the actor if he had any projects that needed funding. The Wolf of Wall Street needed a backer. That's interesting. The Wolf of Wall Street is exactly... Anyway, the point, ladies and gentlemen, is the following. You have people funneling money into the Democratic Party for influence. The rebuttal from Democrats and media, and the extension of the Democratic Party's media, well, you can't prove anything. Well, you don't really have to prove much when you have money funneling into Hunter's corporations, numerous corporations, millions upon millions of dollars, and then you have a New York Post article with an email asking Hunter, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? So how can you use your influence on the company's behalf is one email, and then he gives 10% of all his earnings to Joe, the big man. And other countries are not doing business with Hunter Biden because of his expertise. They're not doing business with Bill or Hillary because their foundation is so altruistic. They're giving money to these foundations or to Hunter because they want access to Joe. They want access to President Obama. They want access to the U.S. government. These are influence campaigns. Why do you think Clinton had private servers? You think maybe she wanted to hide the source of funding for the Democratic Party or the foundation, or maybe it had something to do with hiding information, God forbid. I love how there are these blind spots in U.S. politics where half the country, or even more than half, doesn't ask basic questions. Well, okay, let's say you believe that Hillary Clinton had every right to have private servers, which, by the way, are illegal and a national security nightmare, cybersecurity nightmare. And you can't just have a private server siphoning classified data or top secret intel. It's actually impossible. But what would be the reason? What would be the reason for a private server? Obviously to hide information. Okay? So you hide info from FOIA requests, you hide info from other people within the US government. And this happened during President Obama's administration, the same administration that was fined $375,000 for not telling the FEC who was funding his campaign. So secrecy is very important to the Democratic Party. Not so much in terms of state secrets, because they found the Honorable James Comey wrote the Comey letter a week before November, and because classified data was floating around Uma Abedin's laptop. So there was classified data floating around President Obama's administration all the time. But you better believe the Democratic Party, they're not going to tell you who funds, or eventually, like 10 years later, or 12, 13, 14 years later, we'll find out that, oh yeah, that's right. Or 10 years later, we'll find out that, oh, there was an influence campaign. So, but Trump, they indicted Trump, although there's an influence campaign for targeting President Obama's 2012 run, and also he was fined $375,000. In 2008, the Clinton campaign and DNC were both fined. Books have been written about the influence peddling and the influence campaign to alter U.S. foreign policy through both Bill Hillary. Bill met with Vladimir Putin at his home, according to Newsweek and The Hill. during the whole Uranium One deal. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I think it'll be Hillary Trump 24. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.